are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, and taking learning far beyond the four walls of the classroom. It's time to recognize that great things are happening in teaching and put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
I have been so touched by all the well wishes that we've received over the past few weeks. But tonight it's my turn to say thanks. Whether we have seen eye to eye or rarely agreed at all, my conversations with you, the American people, in living rooms and in schools, at farms, on factory floors, at diners, and on distant military outposts. Those conversations are what have kept me honest and kept me inspired and kept me going. And every day I have learned from you. You made me a better president, and you made me a better man. So I first came to Chicago when I was in my early 20s, and I was still trying to figure out who I was, still searching for a purpose in my life. And it was a neighborhood not far from here where I began working with church groups in the shadows of closed steel mills. It was on these streets where I witnessed the power of faith and the quiet dignity of working people in the face of struggle and loss. I can't do that. Now, this is where I learned that change only happens when ordinary people get involved and they get engaged and they come together to demand it. After 8 years as your president, I still believe that. And it's not just my belief. It's the beating heart of our American idea, our bold experiment in self-government. It's the conviction that we are all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's the insistence that these rights, while self-evident, have never been self-executing. That we, the people, through the instrument of our democracy, can form a more perfect union. What a radical idea. The great gift that our founders gave to us. The freedom to chase our individual dreams through our sweat and toil and imagination, and the imperative to strive together as well to achieve a common good, a greater good. For 240 years, our nation's call to citizenship has given work and purpose to each new generation. It's what led patriots to choose republic over tyranny, pioneers to trek west, slaves to brave that makeshift railroad to freedom. It's what pulled immigrants and refugees across oceans and the Rio Grande. It's what pushed women to reach for the ballot. It's what powered workers to organize. It's why GIs gave their lives at Omaha Beach, in Iwo Jima, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And why men and women from Selma to Stonewall were prepared to give theirs as well. So So that's what we mean when we say America's exceptional. Not that our nation's been flawless from the start, but that we have shown the capacity to change and make life better for those who follow. Yes, our progress has been uneven. The work of democracy has always been hard. It's always been contentious. Sometimes it's been bloody. For every 2 steps forward, it often feels we take 1 step back. But the long sweep of America has been defined by forward motion, a constant widening of our founding creed to embrace all, and not just some. If I had told you 8 years ago that America would reverse a Great Recession, reboot our auto industry, and unleash the longest stretch of job creation in our history, if I had told you that we would open up a new chapter with the Cuban people, shut down Iran's nuclear weapons program without firing a shot, take out the mastermind of 9/11. If I had told you that we would win marriage equality and secure the right to health insurance for another 20 million of our fellow citizens, if I had told you all that, you might have said our sights were set a little too high. But that's what we did. That's what you did. You were the change. You answered people's hopes. And because of you, by almost every measure, America is a better, stronger place than it was when we started. In 10 days, the world will witness a hallmark of our democracy. No. The peaceful transfer of power from one freely elected president to the next. I committed to President-elect Trump that my administration would ensure the smoothest possible transition, just as President Bush did for me. Because it's up to all of us to make sure our government can help us meet the many challenges we still face. We have what we need to do so. We have everything we need to meet those challenges. After all, we remain the wealthiest, most powerful, and most respected nation on earth. Our youth, our drive, our diversity and openness, our boundless capacity for risk and reinvention means that the future should be ours. But that potential will only be realized if our democracy works. Only if our politics better reflects the decency of our people. Only if all of us, regardless of party affiliation or particular interests, help restore the sense of common purpose that we so badly need right now. And that's what I want to focus on tonight. The state of our democracy. Understand, democracy does not require uniformity. Our founders argued, they quarreled, eventually they compromised. They expected us to do the same. But they knew that democracy does require a basic sense of solidarity. The idea that for all our outward differences, we're all in this together, that we rise or fall as one. There have been moments throughout our history that threatened that solidarity. And the beginning of this century has been one of those times. A shrinking world, growing inequality, demographic change, and the specter of terrorism. These forces haven't just tested our security and our prosperity, but are testing our democracy as well. And how we meet these challenges to our democracy will determine our ability to educate our kids and create good jobs and protect our homeland. In other words, it will determine our future. To begin with, our democracy won't work without a sense that everyone has economic opportunity. And the good news is that today the economy is growing again. Wages, incomes, home values, and retirement accounts are all rising again. Poverty is falling again. The wealthy are paying a fair share of taxes, even as the stock market shatters records. The unemployment rate is near a 10-year low. The uninsured rate has never, ever been lower. Healthcare costs are rising at the slowest rate in 50 years. And I've said, and I mean it, if anyone can put together a plan that is demonstrably better than the improvements we've made to our healthcare system that covers as many people at less cost, I will publicly support it. Because that, after all, is why we serve. Not to score points or take credit, but to make people's lives better. But for all the real progress that we've made, we know it's not enough. Our economy doesn't work as well or grow as fast when a few prosper at the expense of a growing middle class and ladders for folks who want to get into the middle class. That's the economic argument, but stark inequality is also corrosive to our democratic idea. While the top 1% has amassed a bigger share of wealth and income, too many of our families in inner cities and in rural counties have been left behind. The laid-off factory worker, the waitress or healthcare worker who's just barely getting by and struggling to pay the bills, convinced that the game is fixed against them, that their government only serves the interests of the powerful. That's a recipe for more cynicism and polarization in our politics. Now, there are no quick fixes to this long-term trend. I agree, our trade should be fair and not just free. But the next wave of economic dislocations won't come from overseas. It will come from the relentless pace of automation that makes a lot of good middle-class jobs obsolete. And so we're going to have to forge a new social compact to guarantee all our kids the education they need, to give workers the power to unionize for better wages, to update the social safety net to reflect the way we live now, and make more reforms to the tax code so corporations and individuals who reap the most from this new economy don't avoid their obligations to the country that's made their very success possible. We can argue about how to best achieve these goals, but we can't be complacent about the goals themselves. For if we don't create opportunity for all people, the disaffection and division that has stalled our progress will only sharpen in years to come. There's a second threat to our democracy, and this one is as old as our nation itself. After my election, there was talk of a post-racial America. And such a vision, however well intended, was never realistic. Race remains a potent and often divisive force in our society. Now, I've lived long enough to know that race relations are better than they were 10 or 20 or 30 years ago, no matter what some folks say. You can see it not just in statistics, you see it in the attitudes of young Americans across the political spectrum. But we're not where we need to be. And all of us have more work to do. If every economic issue is framed as a struggle between a hardworking white middle class and an undeserving minority, then workers of all shades are going to be left fighting for scraps while the wealthy withdraw further into their private enclaves. If we're unwilling to invest in the children of immigrants just because they don't look like us, we will diminish the prospects of our own children, because those brown kids will represent a larger and larger share of America's workforce. And we have shown that our economy doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. Last year, incomes rose for all races, all age groups, for men and for women. So if we're going to be serious about race going forward, we need to uphold laws against discrimination in hiring and in housing and in education and in the criminal justice system. That is what our Constitution and our highest ideals require. But laws alone won't be enough. Hearts must change. They won't change overnight. Social attitudes oftentimes take generations to change. But if our democracy is to work the way it should in this increasingly diverse nation, then each one of us need to try to heed the advice of a great character in American fiction, Atticus Finch, who said, "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it." For blacks and other minority groups, that means tying our own very real struggles for justice to the challenges that a lot of people in this country face. Not only the refugee or the immigrant or the rural poor or the transgender American, but also the middle-aged white guy who, from the outside, may seem like he's got advantages, but has seen his world upended by economic and cultural and technological change. We have to pay attention and listen. For white Americans, it means acknowledging that the effects of slavery and Jim Crow didn't suddenly vanish in the 60s. That when minority groups voice discontent, they're not just engaging in reverse racism or practicing political correctness. When they wage peaceful protest, they're not demanding special treatment, but the equal treatment that our founders promised. For native-born Americans, it means reminding ourselves that the stereotypes about immigrants today were said almost word for word about the Irish and Italians and Poles, who it was said were going to destroy the fundamental character of America. And as it turned out, America wasn't weakened by the presence of these newcomers. These newcomers embraced this nation's creed, and this nation was strengthened. So, regardless of the station that we occupy, we all have to try harder. We all have to start with the premise that each of our fellow citizens loves this country just as much as we do, that they value hard work and family just like we do, that their children are just as curious and hopeful and worthy of love as our own. And that's not easy to do. For too many of us, it's become safer to retreat into our own bubbles, whether in our neighborhoods or on college campuses or places of worship, or especially our social media feeds. Surrounded by people who look like us and share the same political outlook and never challenge our assumptions. And the rise of naked partisanship and increasing economic and regional stratification, the splintering of our media into a channel for every taste, all this makes this great sorting seem natural, even inevitable. And increasingly, we become so secure in our bubbles that we start accepting only information, whether it's true or not, that fits our opinions, instead of basing our opinions on the evidence that is out there. And this trend represents a third threat to our democracy. Look, politics is a battle of ideas. That's how our democracy was designed. In the course of a healthy debate, we prioritize different goals and the different means of reaching them. But without some common baseline of facts, without a willingness to admit new information and concede that your opponent might be making a fair point and that science and reason matter, then we're going to keep talking past each other and we'll make common ground and compromise impossible. And isn't that part of what so often makes politics dispiriting? How can elected officials rage about deficits when we propose to spend money on preschool for kids, but not when we're cutting taxes for corporations? How do we excuse ethical lapses in our own party, but pounce when the other party does the same thing? It's not just dishonest, this selective sorting of the facts. It's self-defeating. Because, as my mom used to tell me, reality has a way of catching up with you. Take the challenge of climate change. In just 8 years, we've halved our dependence on foreign oil. We've doubled our renewable energy. We've led the world to an agreement that has the promise to save this planet. But without bolder action, our children won't have time to debate the existence of climate change. They'll be busy dealing with its effects. More environmental disasters, more economic disruptions, waves of climate refugees seeking sanctuary. Now, we can and should argue about the best approach to solve the problem. But to simply deny the problem not only betrays future generations, it betrays the essential spirit of this country, the essential spirit of innovation and practical problem solving that guided our founders. It is that spirit born of the Enlightenment that made us an economic powerhouse. The spirit that took flight at Kitty Hawk and Cape Canaveral. The spirit that cures disease and put a computer in every pocket. It's that spirit, a faith in reason and enterprise and the primacy of right over might, that allowed us to resist the lure of fascism and tyranny during the Great Depression, that allowed us to build a post-World War II order with other democracies, an order based not just on military power or national affiliations, but built on principles: the rule of law, human rights, freedom of religion and speech and assembly, and an independent press. That order is now being challenged. First, by violent fanatics who claim to speak for Islam. More recently, by autocrats in foreign capitals who see free markets and open democracies and civil society itself as a threat to their power. The peril each poses to our democracy is more far-reaching than a car bomb or a missile. They represent the fear of change, the fear of people who look or speak or pray differently, a contempt for the rule of law that holds leaders accountable, an intolerance of dissent and free thought, a belief that the sword or the gun or the bomb or the propaganda machine is the ultimate arbiter of what's true and what's right. Because of the extraordinary courage of our men and women in uniform, because of our intelligence officers and law enforcement and diplomats who support our troops, no foreign terrorist organization has successfully planned and executed an attack on our homeland these past 8 years. And although Boston and Orlando and San Bernardino and Fort Hood remind us of how dangerous radicalization can be, our law enforcement agencies are more effective and vigilant than ever. We have taken out tens of thousands of terrorists, including bin Laden. The global coalition we're leading against ISIL has taken out their leaders and taken away about half their territory. ISIL will be destroyed, and no one who threatens America will ever be safe. And to all who serve or have served, it has been the honor of my lifetime to be your commander-in-chief. And we all owe you a deep debt of gratitude. But protecting our way of life, that's not just the job of our military. Democracy can buckle when it gives in to fear. So just as we, as citizens, must remain vigilant against external aggression, we must guard against a weakening of the values that make us who we are. And that's why for the past 8 years, I've worked to put the fight against terrorism on a firmer legal footing. That's why we've ended torture, worked to close Gitmo, reformed our laws governing surveillance to protect privacy and civil liberties. That's why I reject discrimination against Muslim Americans who are just as patriotic as we are. That's why we cannot withdraw. That's why we cannot withdraw from big global fights to expand democracy and human rights and women's rights and LGBT rights. No matter how imperfect our efforts, no matter how expedient ignoring such values may seem, that's part of defending America. For the fight against extremism and intolerance and sectarianism and chauvinism are of a piece with the fight against authoritarianism and nationalist aggression. If the scope of freedom and respect for the rule of law shrinks around the world, the likelihood of war within and between nations increases, and our own freedoms will eventually be threatened. So let's be vigilant but not afraid. ISIL will try to kill innocent people, but they cannot defeat America unless we betray our Constitution and our principles in the fight. Rivals like Russia or China cannot match our influence around the world unless we give up what we stand for and turn ourselves into just another big country that bullies smaller neighbors. Which brings me to my final point. Our democracy is threatened whenever we take it for granted. All of us, regardless of party, should be throwing ourselves into the task of rebuilding our democratic institutions. When voting rates in America are some of the lowest among advanced democracies, we should be making it easier, not harder, to vote. When trust in our institutions is low, we should reduce the corrosive influence of money in our politics and insist on the principles of transparency and ethics in public service. When Congress is dysfunctional, we should draw our congressional districts to encourage politicians to cater to common sense and not rigid extremes. But remember, none of this happens on its own. All of this depends on our participation, on each of us accepting the responsibility of citizenship, regardless of which way the pendulum of power happens to be swinging. Our Constitution is a remarkable, beautiful gift. But it's really just a piece of parchment. It has no power on its own. We, the people, give it power. We, the people, give it meaning with our participation and with the choices that we make and the alliances that we forge, whether or not we stand up for our freedoms, whether or not we respect and enforce the rule of law, That's up to us. America's no fragile thing, but the gains of our long journey to freedom are not assured. In his own farewell address, George Washington wrote that self-government is the underpinning of our safety, prosperity, and liberty. But from different causes and from different quarters, much pains will be taken to weaken in your minds the conviction of this truth. And so we have to preserve this truth with jealous anxiety that we should reject the first dawning of every attempt to alienate any portion of our country from the rest, or to enfeeble the sacred ties that make us one. In America, we weaken those ties when we allow our political dialogue to become so corrosive that people of good character aren't even willing to enter into public service. So coarse with rancor that Americans with whom we disagree are seen not just as misguided, but as malevolent. We weaken those ties when we define some of us as more American than others, when we write off the whole system as inevitably corrupt, and when we sit back and blame the leaders we elect without examining our own role in electing them. It falls to each of us to be those anxious, jealous guardians of our democracy, to embrace the joyous task we've been given, to continually try to improve this great nation of ours. Because for all our outward differences, we in fact all share the same proud title, the most important office in a democracy: citizen. Citizen. So you see, that's what our democracy demands. It needs you. Not just when there's an election, not just when your own narrow interest is at stake, but over the full span of a lifetime. If you're tired of arguing with strangers on the internet, try talking with one of them in real life. If something needs fixing, then lace up your shoes and do some organizing. If you're disappointed by your elected officials, grab a clipboard, get some signatures, and run for office yourself. Show up. Dive in. Stay at it. Sometimes you'll win. Sometimes you'll lose. Presuming a reservoir of goodness in other people, that can be a risk. And there will be times when the process will disappoint you. But for those of us fortunate enough to have been part of this work and to see it up close, let me tell you, it can energize and inspire. And more often than not, your faith in America and in Americans will be confirmed. Mine sure has been. Over the course of these 8 years, I've seen the hopeful faces of young graduates and our newest military officers. I have mourned with grieving families searching for answers, and found grace in Charleston Church. I've seen our scientists help a paralyzed man regain his sense of touch. I've seen wounded warriors who at points were given up for dead walk again. I've seen our doctors and volunteers rebuild after earthquakes and stop pandemics in their tracks. I've seen the youngest of children remind us through their actions and through their generosity of our obligations to care for refugees or work for peace. And above all, to look out for each other. So that faith that I placed all those years ago, not far from here, in the power of ordinary Americans to bring about change, that faith has been rewarded in ways I could not have possibly imagined. And I hope your faith has too. Some of you here tonight or watching at home, you were there with us in 2004, in 2008, 2012. Maybe you still can't believe we pulled this whole thing off. Let me tell you, you're not the only ones. Michelle, Michelle LaVaughn Robinson, girl of the South Side. For the past 25 years, you have not only been my wife and mother of my children, you have been my best friend. You took on a role you didn't ask for, and you made it your own, with grace and with grit and with style and good humor. You made the White House a place that belongs to everybody. And a new generation sets its sights higher because it has you as a role model. So you have made me proud, and you have made the country proud. Malia and Sasha, under the strangest of circumstances, you have become two amazing young women. You are smart and you are beautiful, but more importantly, you are kind and you are thoughtful and you are full of passion. And you wore the burden of years in the spotlight so easily. Of all that I have done in my life, I am most proud to be your dad. To Joe Biden, the scrappy kid from Scranton, who became Delaware's favorite son. You were the first decision I made as a nominee, and it was the best. Not just because you have been a great vice president, but because in the bargain I gained a brother. And we love you and Jill like family, and your friendship has been one of the great joys of our lives. To my remarkable staff, for 8 years, and for some of you a whole lot more, I have drawn from your energy, and every day I try to reflect back what you displayed: heart and character and idealism. I've watched you grow up, get married, have kids, start incredible new journeys of your own. Even when times got tough and frustrating, you never let Washington get the better of you. You guarded against cynicism. And the only thing that makes me prouder than all the good that we've done is the thought of all the amazing things that you are going to achieve from here. And to all of you out there, every organizer who moved to an unfamiliar town, every kind family who welcomed them in, every volunteer who knocked on doors, every young person who cast a ballot for the first time, every American who lived and breathed the hard work of change, you are the best supporters and organizers anybody could ever hope for, and I will be forever grateful. Because you did change the world. You did. And that's why I leave this stage tonight even more optimistic about this country than when we started. Because I know our work has not only helped so many Americans, it has inspired so many Americans, especially so many young people out there, to believe that you can make a difference, to hitch your wagon to something bigger than yourselves. Let me tell you, this generation coming up, unselfish, altruistic, creative, patriotic, I've seen you in every corner of the country. You believe in a fair and just and inclusive America. You know that constant change has been America's hallmark, that it's not something to fear, but something to embrace. You are willing to carry this hard work of democracy forward. You'll soon outnumber all of us, and I believe as a result, the future is in good hands. My fellow Americans, it has been the honor of my life to serve you. I won't stop. In fact, I will be right there with you as a citizen for all my remaining days. But for now, whether you are young or whether you're young at heart, I do have one final ask of you as your president. The same thing I asked when you took a chance on me 8 years ago. I am asking you to believe, not in my ability to bring about change, but in yours. I am asking you to hold fast to that faith written into our founding documents, that idea whispered by slaves and abolitionists, that spirit sung by immigrants and homesteaders and those who marched for justice, that creed reaffirmed by those who planted flags from foreign battlefields to the surface of the moon, a creed at the core of every American whose story is not yet written. Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you. May God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Obama leaving the stage tonight after his farewell address, his message of thanks to the American people and his mission for them, a final call on all Americans to be a part of the democracy that made his presidency possible. The future, he said, is in good hands. There's a lot to discuss with our panel. CNN Chief Political Analyst Gloria Borger, CNN Chief National Correspondent John King, Political Analyst John Avalon, Chief Political Correspondent Dana Bash, also CNN Political Commentator Bakari Sellers, former Georgia Republican Congressman Jack Kingston, political strategist Angela Rye, and Jody Cantor, New York Times reporter and author of the book, The Obamas. Gloria, quite a speech.
I think finally we had drama Obama tonight. Very emotional speech, wiping a tear from his eye as he talked about the importance of his wife during his presidency and how proud he was of his children, and about Joe Biden, whom he called a brother. There was a speech about the responsibility of citizenship going forward, and I think that was,
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text. Oh, there's another one. Wow. Busy me. So, anyway...
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. My friends keep commenting on my comment. Oh, there's another one. So many comments on my comment.
Oh, I can't wait to watch TV tonight. Playoffs!
Hey, guys, check out my new video game. Pew, pew. Wait. Mom, what? Huh?
What? Hold
What'd you say? Wait a second, what?
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
When you were a little kid and you thought about what you wanted to be, teaching was at the top of your list. But things changed. And as you got older, teaching didn't seem like the best option anymore. So you're thinking you'll be something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Now you want to be a doctor. You don't think teachers save lives? 25 at a time. An actress? Try playing a different role every time the bell rings. How about a scientist? Ever heard of physics? Chemistry? Who do you think teaches that? Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, and taking learning far beyond the four walls of the classroom. It's time to recognize that great things are happening in teaching and put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this.
and this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
What are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
Well, what are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. Don't you remember me? Don't you know that we miss you?
Miss me? Who misses me?
You know, all your friends in the forest. The trees, the pond, that little fort that you made out of branches. We all miss you.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
This forest is not that far away. Have an adventure today. I'm sure your mom would take you.
You're right. I should get out. I want to have fun. Play in puddles, catch frogs, and climb trees. Hey, Mom!
Yeah, hon? Steven, what is that in your hand?
It's my sense of adventure, Mom. It's telling me we need to get out of the house and have some fun in nature today.
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm LeVar Burton, and I'm proud to be a book person. How do I choose a book? Sometimes it's the cover, sometimes it's the title. I guess I'm pretty visual. If a book's really impressing me and the writing is really good, I will peek and see what the last paragraph is, because the endings of books should rock you. I am a book person, and if you're a book person too, read to a child and spark a lifetime of ambition. Join me at bookpeopleunite.org, because reading is fundamental. A public service announcement brought to you by Reading is Fundamental, Library of Congress, and the Ad Council.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Steve.
Well, what are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. Don't you remember me? Don't you know that we miss you?
Miss me? Who misses me?
You know, all your friends in the forest. The trees, the pond, that little fort that you made out of branches. We all miss you.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
This forest is not that far away. Have an adventure today. I'm sure your mom would take you.
You're right. I should get out. I want to have fun. Play in puddles, catch frogs, and climb trees. Hey, Mom!
Yeah, hon? Steven, what is that in your hand?
It's my sense of adventure, Mom. It's telling me we need to get out of the house and have some fun in nature today.
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org.
When you were a
for cool
little
places
kid and
nearby.
you thought about what you
Brought
wanted
to
to
you by the
be,
US Forest Service.
teaching was at the top of your list. But things changed. And as you got older, teaching didn't seem like the best option anymore. So you're thinking you'll be something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Now you want to be a doctor, You don't think teachers save lives? 25 at a time. An actress? Try playing a different role every time the bell rings. How about a scientist? Ever heard of physics? Chemistry? Who do you think teaches that? Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, and taking learning far beyond the four walls of the classroom. It's time to recognize that great things are happening in teaching and put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Be exposed. Be exposed.
Singing on the radio. Good night. Well, not to the group, and no, not to you guys.
Not to you guys.
We're coming. Well, I'm not, but
technically.
Well, I meant like, you know, I meant like I'm not gonna be.
Not at this moment.
Not right now. Maybe later. I'm not gonna be the one talking. That's what I meant.
Out of control. That's what she.
What he say?
That's what she said. Instagram is getting out of control.
They
kicked us off like sugar honey.
Oh.
Because he left the stage. They said, that's it.
Right.
That's all you get.
But I paid for an hour and a half. Oh, hi. What happened? The encoder wasn't on the whole time? I'm sorry?
Should we add her to that training list?
You stopped it?
We on air. Hey, everybody.
Pew,
What's
pew, pew,
up?
pew.
Obama is out.
How about he is? I mean,
I'm just
she ain't saying anything that's not true.
And it's all Crystal Renee's fault.
It is all Crystal Renee's fault.
You know?
It is. She's going to be on my show next Tuesday, the season premiere of my show.
Why would she do that to herself?
Get the door.
Why would she do that to herself?
Oh, I got a lot of stuff for her. Can you get the door?
She like punishment.
Because I'm looking forward to your show. For her to come on and be the first guest is crazy.
But this is the right
nuts.
time. She might as well come now.
And get it all out.
She also chose Soulja Boy in a fight between him and Chris Brown.
Are you serious?
I think she just want to be contrary to popular
I
belief.
think that, exactly. Hey, Nikki.
Don't talk about her if y'all haven't invited her to the live so she can see.
I did invite her. I invited everybody to the station.
Oh, okay, good.
Gosh, Regans.
I mean, she is a part of the Be Exposed family. She should see it.
I didn't mean to have my mouth covered. I'm sorry.
So, what did you guys think about the speech? Did you feel because Obama was clearly trying to?
Can you be honest?
That y'all didn't really watch it, and nobody really watched it. We were dealing with
it was
stuff.
on. Right. We was in here talking amongst ourselves.
First of all, I was watching just.
I watched the end because I got real teary-eyed at the end.
But he's a good speech giver. Like he is. I don't expect anything less from him.
Yeah.
But
he's genuine.
His attempt to ensure us that everything is going to be okay if we have faith in ourselves lets us know that we are up against a serious battle. Like, we have some serious days ahead of us. And, you know, that whole unite the people thing, I hope people really, like, taking heed, because Obama just pretty much got up there on stage and said to everybody, like, listen, you are the one, like, you're the hope. He didn't say anything about Donald being the hope. He didn't say Donald was going to help us, or he had faith in Donald. He said the people. So
we need to find.
Kit Washington said anywhere for a replay. Yes, you can actually rewind this. If you're on YouTube, you can actually rewind this now and look at it from the beginning, and watch the whole entire speech, because it's still there, even though we got kicked off. The segment we paid for was slightly exited. Because
abruptly exited.
Yeah, it was abrupt. It was like, cannot connect. But yes, you can listen to this again anytime you want. Just rewind, or just wait for us to finish talking. We're only going to be here till 10:30, so phone lines are open. 410, finally, 410-702. Oh, you moved it. 702-5657. I haven't been on the radio in so long, I thought it was still right there.
Yeah.
How about a year? How about 6 or 7 months?
I didn't give any numbers. It's so long.
This time last year? Just saying.
Stop, Nick!
Wait a second.
Keep ringing. That's so annoying. Will somebody just keep ringing?
Can you put it on mute? You are in studio.
I could. Yeah, let me do that.
Young Monny hasn't been, in the studio actually having conversation with you guys in a long time.
I'm trying to be all peaceful and mellow and get my Obama in. And
you gotta get in touch with your zine.
My what?
Zine.
That's what she said.
What the hell is that? My zen. My zen, my yin and my yang.
Yes, there you go. There you go. Get in touch with that. Do that.
Oh, you're zen.
What you doing?
I was like, what?
What you do?
I was watching. No, I'm not gonna tell you what I was watching last night because we're talking about Obama.
What was you watching?
That's Zen.com.
Anyway, I am Beyonka, but come on, let's talk about Obama. Let's talk about this speech.
So, he went through a lot of his accomplishments and everything that happened during his 8 years as president. One of the things that I have down on my list is that he ended the 2008 recession, which was one of the most important things that we could actually deal with, because if your parent owned a house, that's probably one of the hardest things in the world to watch a foreclosure happen.
Exactly.
And you get put out of your house, and then you have to move with someone. That's a difficult place to be.
I know a lot of people who went through that, like people who even a certain family built their house from the ground up and had to
they got put into a bad
and
mortgage.
Exactly. And then ended up having to leave after being in the house for like 25 years. That was really heartbreaking. So, yeah. And even the college thing, I don't have any college kids, but, I know that was a big thing for kids to be able to get, that money back and stuff like that. So,
wait a minute. Money, who get money back?
They didn't get their money back. I did. I had a couple clients that were actually in college, and there was a fund for them where they were actually able to get college money back. I mean, I'm not in college, but just for them.
I need that.
Yeah,
Give me that information.
I think she
connect you.
Yeah, because I ain't getting no money back.
It's you.
You sure? I'm about to say, you are also.
I got rebates.
It might have been an age restriction on it because my clients are.
Wait, what you won't do? I am still a millennial. I may be at the cusp of it, but I am a millennial. I don't know about y'all senior citizens.
No, you're not.
I am a millennial.
He better be.
What was the age range on a millennial?
34 to 35 is the cutoff.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not cut off yet.
Thank you, see?
Oh, okay. I thought it was 30. He looking it up.
I am.
Look it up.
So, I wonder why, what's the youngest child name? Why she wasn't at the...
Sasha. Well, she's probably...
Malia.
Malia. No, it is Sasha, isn't it? Yeah, Malia. Malia is the youngest one. Yeah.
Yo, we love Obama so much, and we don't even know which kid is which.
If y'all
It don't
was,
matter.
It don't.
if y'all were paying attention, he addressed Malia directly because she was sitting there.
So Sasha is the youngest.
First of all, what you won't do.
Because the whole point of this was to talk about, right?
But it's the
And what were we talking about? We were talking
That's
about one
what
of
we
his
were doing.
issues,
We were paying
the recession.
attention. He was reassuring the country. That's what we're talking about right now. That he was reassuring the country, letting us know that we needed to get ourselves together and do what we need to do because.
But he's been saying that since his day one. That is not on the president's shoulders. We all have to clean up our mess. It's going to take us. Not just somebody you elect to solve all your problems.
But the difference is, I think, with Obama saying that in the beginning, and, maybe it may help now, is that
You still posting stuff? I know, but I'm thinking they now. You might as well stop. I'm getting ready to say, I ain't going to make it home. They already coming at you. I know I wrote that. That's what I'm saying. Okay. That was a long time ago.
It's like a half an hour.
You might just stop.
I'm doing 2 jobs.
Just stop it. Just
We're
do
supposed
one.
to be peaceful. This Obama day.
Right.
Yes.
But it feels like Trump in here. Trump needs to just give up.
That's because of Crystal Renee.
Because Obama is out. I'm just saying, that's why it feels like Trump is in here. She about to shut off my mic.
That's my mic too, so no.
And then it will be silence.
Look,
a part of me says he's not going to make 4 years. And I don't think anything bad is going to happen to him, but he's not going to make it.
I honestly thought that he was going to just say, you know what, like not in these words, but I honestly thought that he was going to be like, yeah,
Psychable.
Yeah,
I was just playing.
He said psychable.
Psychable. I was just playing, y'all.
I believe it's going to be a one term. But come on. What you doing?
Turn it down.
You what? But my mic ain't on.
Your mic is
on. It is. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
No, it's not.
It is.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's up too loud.
But it was fine at first. Now it sounds like I'm in the back of the room.
Because you won't get sick.
Y'all, this is live.
It is.
This is what...
Gosh, the incompetence.
I wasn't talking.
Every time we get a new engineer, he show off. Every single time. Now back here. He want that now. That's what it is. Every time.
In 2009, President Obama received... Hello? Let's focus. Received the 2000...
I'm sorry. I'm reading the comments.
He about to put you
What
out.
happened? What was the comment? We need Trump to make it 4 years.
Is that Crystal?
We don't want Pence as the president either.
No, because he look like he just gonna lynch people. Pence look like he a good old boy.
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, he looked like a good old boy.
And I thought you were going to read it out loud.
It's on our page.
Yeah, it's on the page.
Yeah.
She was going to eventually put it out there. Eventually.
Eventually.
An hour later.
Eventually. That's not me. Don't cut my
If this camera was on.
All right.
Oh, he won in 2009. He got the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we talk about. Where was you been?
I mean, you know what? Ooh. Y'all, Talk Lately is supposed to be starting next Tuesday, but clearly tonight's his night. You know.
58
Oh my gosh, I want the old Monny back. He was nice. Look
When? At what point?
Out my ears.
Oh my gosh, y'all make sure y'all tune in next Tuesday.
7 o'clock.
Especially being as though Crystal Renee gonna be on here.
Right.
She a fool.
I'm gonna give y'all one of my questions that I had
like
for her.
Who raised you?
Who's responsible for you?
Who's responsible?
Because I want to know. Did she believe that her president-elect was a liar?
Does she believe it?
Yeah.
I don't think she knows anything about her president-elect. I honestly
It was the information that's being put out there, like he's a good businessman, he's gonna be a good businessman for the country, and that was that portion of the country that's all they were concerned about, was doing better in their finances, and that's what they were focused on. They didn't care that.
I hate that you can hear Aretha Franklin scratching her scalp here.
If I remember correctly,
Can you hear it?
I heard. I had to turn my mic on.
I really can't.
If I can remember correctly, she
Aretha's
did
not coming
state
on these shows. You know that now.
The what was it? The talk or the view is the reason that she voted for him, right?
Crystal.
The talk or the view, one of those shows. Okay.
The liberal shows.
Because they were against him.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
We love you too, Jazz.
Oh, we got 4 minutes. Hold on. One of the things I liked is that he did save the auto industry. I liked that plan, that he did do that. Because how would me and you get here without our vehicles?
This not in my stuff. We can talk.
Hazel, look around.
Talk
No.
lately.
He gonna be canceled.
I don't want to get canceled. Don't say that. That wouldn't be fair. Climate change, growth, job growth. That's been steady, 100 plus every month for the past.
They act
3
like
years?
what was that? 2009 didn't happen. Like they act like he didn't accomplish anything.
Well, no, they don't act like that. That was their mission. Their mission was for him not to accomplish anything. But he did manage to get some stuff in. But imagine if they would have maybe listened to some of his ideas and implemented some of them. Imagine if he had that kind of Congress.
They are doing that. Just like with the Healthcare Act, it's going around. There was a couple articles. They're only gutting out the healthcare bill so they can then put Trump's name on it and eliminate the fact that Obama made that happen. So a lot of the things that all they're going to do is this.
But there is some bad stuff in Obamacare.
It's not bad. It's just not beneficial to business owners.
No, it's bad. It's bad.
Like what? Like what part?
The fact that people's prices have gone up.
But that's not because of that. That's because private doctors chose to increase their rates. That wasn't because he didn't cause that.
Just because they chose to increase their rates doesn't directly affect your plan. Your plan premiums have doubled.
And that's because of hospital administrators hiking up the bill because they knew they had to.
It's not just because of that. It's also because of the people that call themselves healthy not joining the process.
Right.
If you don't get insurance, it won't help keep your costs down.
Right. And
just because you're healthy, you're so quote unquote healthy, and you drink weed and smoke weed all day. Bastard.
Well, but you can't blame that on.
Well, I gotta go to work, and you get to smoke weed and be healthy.
But it doesn't count, though.
I was just saying to Nicole, that is why a lot of certain black people were kind of siding with Trump because they are like tired of sitting. They know they got a cousin or somebody that sits at home all day, smokes weed, does absolutely nothing. They take advantage of the government assistance,
medical assistance.
They take exactly. They take advantage of those things, and they got to go to work. So they feel like, well, dang, I'm paying for my own insurance, health insurance, and I'm paying for yours.
I kind of felt that way too. If I didn't have this neck pain, I would be one of those people paying every month for my health insurance and not having to use it. But I'm also putting all this money out, and you mean to tell me now, 6 months from now, because 9 months from now, when my policy renew, it's going to go up again? Why is that? I didn't use my policy just for my neck one time out of a whole entire 12 months.
But look how much it saved the hospitals that were getting people.
I don't give a damn about a hospital.
But it's gonna cost you more. Like
I don't go to the hospital. I go to Kaiser Permanente.
What happens then when you have to go to an emergency room and it's been shut
go
down
to the
because they've lost funding because
Kaiser
too many people.
Kaiser Permanente has their own urgent care.
And see,
facility.
you are the person that would have voted for Trump because the typical person that voted for Trump feels that way.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, those people that, if Crystal Renee had a logical, reason like that, if she said something like that, I could have kind of understood more. However, she didn't, you know what I mean? And her reasoning made absolutely no sense.
No sense.
So I feel like, now, thankfully, we're not here because of the people's vote. We're here because of those electoral votes.
And see, I'm really I like Whoopi Goldberg from Off the View because she made me go to his website and look at his plan. And what he was saying during his election did not match what his plan was that he had spelled out on his website. Like with the tax cuts and the health care, none of that matched what he was saying on his. Well, he really wasn't saying it or promising anything other than to bring jobs back and help the people who have been displaced because of Obama's oppression, so on and so forth. But it did. If you go to his website, none of the things that he said matches what he promised. Like none of it. Like the tax cuts, they still go to the 15% to the top wealthiest people, 2% to the middle class, and then the people below that will see the brunt of it. The people who actually voted him in. So those are the people that are actually going to be affected by this, and it's scary because I think we about to go into like everybody in soup lines. Like that's what it feel like, a depression, all over again.
Another recession.
Yeah.
Well, y'all worried about the recession. Y'all need to be worried about him pissing off other countries. I mean, like, come on.
Him and this Twitter thing.
Companies. I was just talking about earlier, like how Bush, he did his thing, and he knew who to mess with.
Right.
Why not mess with a country where they practice a religion that says I'm going to blow myself up? Clearly, like, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to mess with them.
On Twitter, though.
But you gonna go and mess with a country that is just waiting
to put they on that. Ooh,
wreck the place.
She got excited.
Have y'all seen the Korean army? Like, come on, why are you getting mad with? Why are you playing with them?
They probably suiting up right now. They getting dressed right now. They waiting for inauguration. Yeah, right now.
And they're not even having conversation. Like, they don't even look like they have conversations. And
they just ready for go.
They just like ready for that. Let's go.
Exactly. Go.
So they're like, okay, yeah, let him tweet one more thing.
But he tweeting. It's so it's unprofessional for a CEO to be tweeting out personal stuff. Like, is this unprofessional? You're the president-elect tweeting against Meryl Streep. Like, you're watching the Golden Globes when you're supposed to be prepared to run our country.
Jane Noble said, I like that everyone's salary increased last year. Oh, y'all don't like that?
Oh, yeah.
I work for myself.
That was it. That's what she said. Really. She liked that everyone's salary increased last year.
Are you talking about on the local level now?
No. On the government level.
I know, like, locally, like our mayor and all that.
Actually, salaries did increase last year.
Okay.
For the people that don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, that would be
Well,
good.
my salary increased, and I totally matter because I have employees. So.
Did your salary increase? Your salary increase?
She got a salary. Thank you.
Hello.
Wait a minute. I'm appreciative of myself.
Team Money right now.
We can pick it.
Me and Monny cool. It's that talk lately, Mom.
You know, see, that's another person that voted for Trump right there. Y'all just unveiling yourselves one by one.
And she
I'm
also,
looking at Aikira now.
She also said there are some problems with the bill for health care. There are some problems. There are.
For business
because
owners.
it could have been that we paid a little bit more in taxes and had what's the word I'm going to use?
Don't look at me. Don't look at
It's
me.
coming to me. Hold on. I've got Canada's process. They got free health care.
Oh, okay. Didn't even know
Because that's what I voted for when it was on the ballot in 2008 for health care. I voted for free health care because that's what it said. The individual mandate is what I was trying to say.
But they wouldn't have let that pass, though.
They could have got it passed.
The people who get free health care wouldn't have let that pass.
I don't get what you mean.
Those people who voted on that bill or voted against it, they're not paying premiums at all. They get free,
Congress?
right? They get free health care
Through the
for life.
federal government. Well, it's not for life.
But most
Not
of
for
them,
Congress. No, it's not.
well, the senators, don't they get it?
No.
Well, they get
You
it right
out of
now.
office, you don't get it. You out. You gotta get yourself another little job or have yourself some investments, which they probably
Everybody
do
needs to have themselves
from
some
the lobbyists
investments right now.
that they are allowed to have their way. You know, the cigarette companies and stuff like that. I like them a little bit until I quit this year. When I'm in the house, I only smoke at home.
Oh, okay.
I'm not home most of the
The
day.
person
so.
complaining about his health insurance still smokes.
I pay for it. What do you mean? I'm not the one that's sick. Think about it.
I mean, we can't really.
Because I have outlets for my stress.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the cigarettes, I would be pulling my hair out and running around here shooting people. I'm not doing that.
Exactly. He's not. So let's just say, praise the Lord and hallelujah.
Thank you, Newport. How you doing?
Okay.
All right.
I mean, what else could it be?
Yeah. I mean, no. I feel you.
You said yes and no? No. It's just yes.
No.
Look, it could be yes and no.
I mean, because as a business owner, I see them having the biggest problems with some of the measures that they did get through Obama. I can understand that. But I understand that because that's more cost.
If you work full time, you have to pay for your employees to have health care.
Right. I understand because now it costs more.
That's it.
That is a problem for them. Because then they can't get that big bonus at the end of the year that they were working for.
That's sad. I don't like that. I never liked that part. If you want your employees to spend most of their life at your job, most of their day is spent at your job. Other than
or
when you're
prepared
asleep.
to get there.
You have no awake time for yourself, basically, when you work full time. A 9 to 5. That's every hour during the day. Which you're trying to serve the customer that should be at work. 9 to 5. So if you think about that, you spend most of your awake hours at work.
Yep.
So why are you not going to pay for their health care?
Because it takes out of your bottom line.
Right.
Your bottom line is
But that's not
affected.
the answer. I said, why wouldn't you pay for their health care?
Well, because it affects their bottom line. That's the answer.
That's the wrong answer.
It's the wrong answer, but that's their answer. It's going to affect my bottom line. I don't then make a big enough profit because I got to now pay for your runny nose.
I always used to think it was supposed to be that you were supposed to be working for a living.
Yeah.
Not for a profit. And that's how I see it. Which is why every year, it takes us a whole entire year to remodel our studio. Because I work for a living, not a profit.
For a profit. I like the way you said that. I like that terminology. Because that's the truth.
I'm comfortable in everything that I do. I'm comfortable at home. I'm comfortable at work. But I worked hard to get here. Now,
And
I'm not
so
going to work hard and die just to be like you. The boss. I'm talking about the boss.
I
I'm not
know
going to work
what you
hard
meant, but it just
and
sounded
die
funny.
because now you don't want to give me health insurance.
Right.
So I'm going to be the laziest worker. This is why we have lazy workers. Because you don't want to give me health care. That's a benefit to me working harder.
But then understand people who then get public assistance for the most part. I'm not even gonna say for the most part. If I work a job and that the public assistance that I do get gets cut, so I now have to work 2 and 3 part-time jobs because I can't get full wages because then you don't want to pay for my insurance. So now when you go to a job, now on the description, it says you have to have your own insurance. That's a requirement now that you come to them with your own insurance. And they can put that on there because they're not going to give you full-time hours anyway. They're going to drop you down to 32 or 31 so they don't have to then give you those benefits.
But there's no job verification process to say that somebody has insurance.
You have to verify that you have insurance.
There's no process that you have to.
It's in the job
insurance.
description.
It might be in the job description, but you cannot. HIPAA law prohibits you from showing any information.
But somebody
that's
who
related to your
doesn't, but
healthcare.
somebody who doesn't know that, like, I'm not going to apply because I ain't.
Right, so you can say, hey, I have insurance. That's all you have to say. So that's all you have to say is I have insurance.
Y'all hear Monny?
It's just it's sad
There's
because
no disclosure other than to your doctor that you have to give to an employer, except for a urine test. And you've already signed off your HIPAA rights on that, so because you don't really have to do that either. Because you don't have to work there. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait a second.
But it's gotten to the point where those people that are on public assistance, it's more comfortable because at least I know I have this coming in. At least I know I have these benefits.
Right.
To
And
go
I
out there in the
understand all
work
of that,
environment,
but
I don't get that
I usually
security.
say this to people that are on public assistance.
Right. And
It
I stay stuck in this cycle because the alternate or the alternative
Can you turn his mic
is
down some?
the alternative would be for me not to have those things. So I'm hungry because now I'm living paycheck to paycheck.
Perfect.
But if I stay on this, at least I get health insurance. At least I get, what is it?
Maryland medical assistance.
The stamp program.
Oh,
At least
SNAP.
you get those things because other than that, I'm gonna be hungry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or
Yeah,
without
go
health
ahead.
insurance.
Yeah, but that's why you have, you got to them investments. You have to make them investments, and that's why you have so many people trying to do their own thing.
Right.
Because the employer, like you said, like some employers don't want to, and then that full-time thing. I have a lot of clients who worked a job, and after that 90 days when they were supposed to be full-time, they got that cut.
Yeah.
So they
Because
never
a lot
really
of
had
them were
to give
special. They were special cases, like they were on social service or they were senior citizens, and that job got a grant to have them there for those 90 days.
Yeah.
And once that grant period was over,
they cut
they
them.
released them.
So you don't get insurance and you don't get the job. So now you're back at square one.
So why blame them for staying on public assistance? Because at least I get this amount, and then I can make up the rest of that.
Well, you better. We're going to be talking about that next week on Talk Lately because that's one of my stories that Trump has already got that in lines for where he's going to cut public assistance, SNAP, try to figure out a way for y'all to get off of it by force.
Give me a job.
But I'm going to say this, and then we're going to go. Public assistance is just that. You have because I know a lot of people on public assistance that have way too much time on their hands. That sit around all day long and wondering why, when it comes that time for them to cut that deadline comes, and they try to reapply for more assistance, and you sit around and you wonder, like, what were you doing all day long and you didn't make a plan for
But
getting
that's-
off of public
But I'm
assistance.
gonna say that is not the majority of the people.
No,
No,
I
I'm gonna
think
tell
it
you
is.
no, and I'm gonna tell you it's not, because if you
I
go to
think it
some of
is.
these work sites centers, it's not the majority of them. Like she just said, a lot of people are trying to get employment, but then after the 90 days, if that keeps happening to you, that's discouraging. You know, that's really discouraging.
I think it is. I'm sorry, but I think it is.
telling
I
you that it's
personally
not.
think it is for the older people, and I'm not trying
Right.
to discriminate.
The people that's been on there for
However,
decades.
one thing I have seen is that, like, older people, and I'm gonna say like your mom and your grandmother's age, you know, they were on public assistance.
It's being abused.
And then you know the cycle it was like a domino effect. Then the daughter was on
When
public
you turn
assistance.
18, that's your rite of passage.
Exactly.
Go get my Section
But
8.
what I see now, and I'm gonna just say, in the clients that I've worked with, who have had moms and grandmothers and aunts that's been on public assistance, lived in public housing. These women are really out here putting in that hustle,
Right.
really trying to get ahead. So I agree with you to an extent, because I see it firsthand,
Right.
and I do see the moms and the grandmoms at home like, oh well, I've been getting this for 20 years.
And
What
it's
is wrong with you?
security, but
You
it's
know?
security for
It
them.
is. But the generation coming up now, these kids are out here really trying to hustle, and even trying to help their parents, you know, get out of that cycle. The ones that are just comfortable, I mean, somebody might have 5 kids, and 3 out of those 5 may be the ones out here hustling, and 2 of them are allowing that domino effect to happen, and they thinking, oh, well, my mom and my grandmom is home, so I'm going to chill because they chilling, and I'm not going to do anything. But you do have, I believe it's a 3 out of 5 that's actually out here trying to better themselves.
So the 3 being the people that are abused, and the 2 being
No, the 3 being the people that really are out here trying to
Right,
get it,
trying
and
to
the
figure
2 being
something
the
out.
people that are really just allowing themselves to stay in that cycle
Mhm.
because they're comfortable, because they see their their mother was comfortable.
So you think it's a 60-40 split?
I really do. I really do.
60% are trying, 40 aren't.
And because even, you know, like public housing, I went in public housing. That was one of the first places that I lived when I went out on my own. And, you know, I didn't even know that it was public housing because it was a regular apartment complex. I went and applied like anybody else, gave them my job information like anybody else. So I thought I was living in a
In-house
regular
Section
apartment.
Mhm.
However, I later found out, well, it was a townhome. I later found out that it was actually a public, it went by your income.
Yeah, in-house Section 8.
In-house Section 8, yeah.
Mhm.
So when I found out because one of my neighbors came over to me, and I was telling her, you know, how upset I was at the surrounding environment, and I was so uncomfortable, and I was saying, like, I really got to find somewhere to move. And she said, baby, I've been here since they built this. She said, this is a really nice, you know, thing that they got going on here. You shouldn't leave. You know, why would you want to leave? Like, you know, it's going to be problems everywhere you go. You don't want to jump up and leave. So at first I was thinking, this is one of those speeches where somebody like...
Well, you need to come back next week because I have to go. I'm sorry, because you kept on talking and we went past the 45-minute mark a long time ago.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
I found myself trying to make my shoulders smaller in the screen because I felt like I was too wide for a second. So I stopped listening.
And this is the problem with America.
Look at that. You had too much space on the side of you, so